to get fact.
Hello.
Welcome back. Oh, guess who's messaged in?
Who?
The wonderful Trish Ranoni.
Hey.
She messaged us after Darren had a word with her and said, we feel sorry for fucking you off. We didn't mean to. We was busy.
Well, that's good news.
Well, it's good that she messaged back, yeah. She said Darren said that he had fun on the show. So what's these little notes then? Is this your own work and that?
Yeah. You told me to do some homework.
Yeah. The idea is we're going to play a bit of Dragon's Den in a bit. We've both brought some inventions and we're going to sell it to each other.
Just don't ask me to try and pitch it.
That's what I'm doing. How much you want and what percent?
You're having my money.
Yeah.
I'm dreading to think what yours would be. I've only got 3.
Man, I got inventions.
I've only done 3.
Yeah, I've only done 4.
I'm not a very inventive person.
Yeah. We'll see how they are anyway. See what they're like. So start off by saying, did you see that woman that don't know if she's been let off yet, but there's a woman who told somebody to get off the path when she was riding a bike, and she fell off a bike, landed in the road, and died. And then that woman's got sent to jail for it.
How did she die?
She got run over, didn't she? But what's your take on that? Like, what do you think she deserves to go to jail just for saying get off the path?
No, it
stumbled her,
depends if it's a cycle path or not.
No, it's not. It's a normal path. She was riding a bike on a normal path. She said, I don't know. She said it was like, get off the bloody path with your bike, and she got scared. Fell into the road.
Well, I suppose that argument's a double-edged sword, isn't it? So, because car drivers moan about cyclists being on the road,
yeah,
and then pedestrians moan about cyclists being on a path, unless it's a cycle path.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So, if she was on a normal path, the rules state that you go on the road.
Yeah. But in this case, that was the case, like, she was on the wrong path, but yeah, you're only telling someone off, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
You don't expect all that to follow up by you falling off your bike and dying. You don't expect that, so I don't think it's right that she's been locked up for that. An old lady.
No. No, she was on... So, hang on, what are you saying? That the pedestrian went to jail?
Yeah. The person that said get off the path?
No, that's wrong, because they're not doing anything wrong.
I know, well...
Apart from
apparently
telling
she's
someone
getting
off.
blamed for killing her.
Nah.
For scaring her.
Nah.
But there's a video of it, and she doesn't even do it aggressively. She just says, "Oh, get off the bloody path," that thing, and she falls. It's an accident. I don't think you should be locked up for that.
No, not for stuff like that.
Nope.
Not unless she tried to swerve into the
jumped
pedestrian,
in front of him.
or the pedestrian
surprise, motherfucker.
Or the pedestrian hit the cyclist,
yeah.
which caused her to fall into the road.
Yep. So that leads me on to another topic I brought up: punishments for stuff. So anything goes, no rules. So what punishments would you put in place for things like rape, pedos, murderers, theft, etc.? So we'll start with rape. What punishment do you think should happen for rape?
Full castration.
Full castration?
Yeah.
Just get rid of it all?
Yeah.
I would agree.
I mean, I know it won't remove the drive, but...
It wouldn't, no, but...
It'll reduce the effects.
Yeah, I suppose. I'd also like... chop fingers off.
Full castration and jail. Yeah.
So we'll go with that one. Pedos.
Full castration and jail and death.
That's full castration, jail time, but on a daily basis they get bummed by a dildo that gets bigger and bigger each day. just so it's never comfortable. They need to be, murderers. Now this one
depends on the quality of the murder.
One. Yeah, well, murderers was it accident murder,
which is manslaughter?
Yeah. So what would you? So if it's a serial killer, I think you should get like tortured daily. And
Well, I was discussing this with my partner the other day, and I think serial killers and really serious murders, we should bring back the death penalty for.
definitely. Well, I was thinking for serial killers, for everyone that's like parents or anything that's been, involved in this, they should have like a switch and they press them up into this like torture chamber, the serial killer, and just all get to like, stick little knives in them and stuff.
Electrodes.
Get their own back. Torture him like they tortured the kids or whatever.
Well, I mean,
I know
if they murdered someone in the family, then the pain that they're going to feel, they're going to want to inflict that onto the murderer.
Yeah.
Or murderess.
Yeah. And there's some people will be like, I forgive, but fuck that. Serial killers, you shouldn't forgive serial killers.
No.
Murder where it's an accident, so like, someone breaks in your house and you accidentally kill them. For me, I think they should go to a different building. Not a jail. I think they should go some kind of like, almost like a rehab. For like 10 years.
Yeah, if it's to defend your house, which obviously if you've got your family in there, you're doing your job as...
You are, but it's still classed as murder, and you're still getting thrown in with these monsters when you're not. You've just...
Yeah, no, there should be a different place.
You need help.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. There should be a different place to be, I don't know, maybe rehabilitated.
That's what I mean, brought back to reality of what you've seen and what you've done, and, that's not you, to be shown that, shit happens.
This is a bit deep and serious, isn't it?
Starting off deep, yeah. I know, yeah. We get all excited soon because it's Space Day. So yeah, but on to theft.
Theft depends on the seriousness of the crime. Serial
What
theft.
are you going off money wise? So like if you rob a sandwich, you're not getting your dick chopped off for robbing.
It depends on the sandwich. I don't know. Maybe just if it's just a sandwich or something petty, it's.
I'd see like why
a little fine, or maybe there might be circumstances behind it.
I'd find the condition of what they're living and find out why they robbed the sandwich. And maybe try and help them.
Yeah, they could be starving.
Yep.
Or if they're robbing a shop.
If you're robbing phones and shit for like $1,000, then I think it's a bit more serious.
Yeah,
you're not robbing that to
maybe a little bit of jail time.
Yeah, a bit of jail time, definitely. Yep.
Wow.
And then one last one then. Selling drugs. What do you think you should get for selling drugs?
Bit of jail time.
Bit of jail time. It's simple, that one, isn't it? Bit of jail time. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I was reading my little book over there the other day. It's see that yellow one there?
Oh yeah.
It's conspiracy theories.
Oh.
And it's a good book. It's by Jamie King, I think his name is. And each page, it's like I think 2 pages per conspiracy. So it's easy for me to read a little bit and then shut it. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's one conspiracy in my head then. Yeah. But there's one called Alien Big Cats. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. And it's the circuses, they used to have like animals involved and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, when all that stopped and they weren't allowed animals anymore, the circuses, wherever they was at the time, they just let go of all them animals, released them. And that's why people are claiming, they're seeing these big cats here and there, like, I've seen a cougar, I've seen a black panther and all that. And apparently they're like circus animals that are bred with other big cats. But some people believe that these are actually alien cats because they're inbred type looking things. They think that they've come from space.
Well,
so
I suppose
the first bit's interesting, like but then the second bit you're like, okay, crazy.
Yeah. Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Where I grew up, there was meant to have been a big cat.
Yeah.
Lurking around.
Yeah, you hear that a lot lately. You just hear, like, in Runcorn, apparently they've got like a black panther.
That's the one I was on about. I grew up in Runcorn.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still apparently lurching around. Unless it's kids, it's pups.
Maybe.
Pups, kids and stuff.
Yeah, there's meant to be the big cat of Runcorn.
Yeah. So what would that breed with? Can like a lion breed with a panther? I can imagine it could.
Okay, probably could, but it's 2 different species and
because they do it with dogs, don't they?
You could. The only way you can do it with wild animals is by forcing them, because...
Do you not think they would?
No, because they're 2 different species. They're enemies of each other.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unless they grew up together.
I've seen dogs start up cats. They're enemies.
Well, I've seen that myself.
I've seen a monkey shag a frog.
Oh, God.
They can't get any more. Oh, talking about monkeys, you know chimpanzees?
What do you call that then? The mog.
Yeah.
A frunky.
Yeah. Did you hear that chimpanzees on the cave, almost at the caveman stage? Apparently they're evolving.
Oh,
The part where they're getting sticks and that and making fires and shit.
This is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen that film. It doesn't end well.
That's crazy, because where do we evolve now then? Surely we're evolving. To like,
I should imagine we are still evolving.
yeah.
But to what?
Don't know. But do you reckon monkeys will ever catch up?
No.
Because
I think they're too far behind.
Yeah, they are, but if they watch us, we've already got the secrets to everything. We've got no one to look at and follow, like an alien or something. But they have.
So they just wait. They're just
waiting, aren't they? It's like, I've watched him make a fire, watch this and make a fire. I pretend we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, they're picking rocks up and smashing glass windows to get out and stuff. It's crazy. I remember back in school when monkeys were flicking shit at grannies. Remember? You see that video?
Yeah.
And it hits her on nose.
Well, there's that one where he's sat there and he's drinking his own pee.
Yeah.
Amazed.
See, that's what I remember. Not the bloody Planet of the Apes shit.
Sat there with a calculator
Yeah.
in quantum physics.
So if you had to be an animal other than a human, what animal would you be and why?
Cheetah.
Cheetah?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm a fast runner.
Because
So.
you're good at chess. Always cheating.
Well, that as well.
So
No, I did athletics when I was younger. I was a fast runner, so
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
relative
fast.
to me.
I don't know what that'd be. I'd kind of want to still talk, so maybe a parrot. Just to annoy people. Like, I don't actually think they can actually talk, and they can hold so many words or something.
It's just about mimic. It's about mimicking, isn't it? They just mimic.
Chameleon would be cool though as well, because you grow your limbs back and you can hide.
Camouflage.
Yeah.
Predator.
I mean, it takes ages for like change colours, but
Yeah. How long does it take them to change colours?
I don't know. It takes quite a while. Like, I've seen a video where they stick it on a mirror and he gets confused to fuck. It doesn't know what to do because it's just on itself, and he's like, "What?"
Can you imagine getting chased by something and it takes you an hour to transform to the colour of a tree?
Well, it's one of them where I think they like walk up to a tree, and when they're ready to do something, they'll wait there for a couple of minutes, then change, and then he'll wait to do whatever they're doing.
That's boring, isn't it?
It's a bit shit, isn't it? But it's mad. I think they grow limbs back, but I thought, is that the case with an alligator? Because I seen a video the other day where an alligator grabs the leg of another alligator and does that spinny shit and just rips the leg off and just eats it. And the other alligator just looks at that, you just fucking eat my arm. And I thought, oh, it's alright, they must grow limbs back. I looked up online, they don't. So that leg's gone. Tight bastard.
You know, yeah.
Must be starving, them alligators.
I didn't think they ate each other.
Yeah, I didn't.
Oh
He
my
just
God.
grabbed his leg, span, ripped it off.
They scare me, them.
Oh yeah, the well scary.
Yeah.
That them and sharks are my
Yeah.
most feared things, and
Yeah.
I'm never going to be near them.
I would, saying
I'm not going near
that,
sharks.
I would actually like to go in a cage.
For sharks?
And into the sea or the water or something with a shark.
Yeah, it'd be cool, wouldn't it? But I mean,
I think it's because I know I'm safe in the cage.
Are you though?
I've seen a couple of them films. I've seen Jaws.
Jaws is so pathetic now. You can just see like the hydraulics in the mouth opening it and stuff.
I know, but it's
Ridiculous.
still a great film. I went to see it when they brought it out in 3D.
Did you?
Yeah. I thought it was quite good.
I bet you could see all the machinery in 3D.
You see the men controlling it, the levers.
Anyway, what did you bring today? Did you bring any topics for me, or all for our guest today?
I've mainly just been sorting stuff out for our guest.
Yeah. Our guest today is James Maynard. I think that's his name. Is it James Maynard or Maynard?
Well, it depends how the Americans pronounce it.
Yeah. I always get names wrong. Every name I've fucked up so far.
Well, we're Maynard, they're probably Maynard.
Yeah. I'm going to talk loads of space facts in a bit with him. I'm going to ask you a question. What's the longest ever game of poker, do you think? This is mad. I looked at this the other day and I thought, whoa, that's mad, that how long it is.
probably, pure guess, 3 months.
8 years.
Get on. 8 years.
8 years poker game.
Oh my god, I'd be bored.
How much did you win? Do you know what I mean? Because money was different back 8 years ago. Probably fuck off. You well done after all, like you've won 20 quid.
You put your car in.
Yeah.
That's no good now. It's 8 years old. Don't
For
want
a
it.
Fiesta. It's good when it came out.
I want to focus now.
Yeah. Did you ever I was saying that second place is India for like our listeners.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was a story come from India, and it's quite bad, you know. There was a couple, a man and a woman, in love. He tried to kill himself by setting the house on fire, and then that didn't work. So they made a dual guillotine.
What?
And both chopped their heads off together.
Oh my god. Where are you getting this stuff from?
But we've just lost 2 listeners. I'm sorry, India.
Dedicate this show today to the memory of those 2 who chopped their heads off.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't make a joke to death. I can't help it. It's a shock.
Quite a morbid fascination with death, haven't you?
I have. Every episode's about death of some sort. I've still got more death things, but we'll leave that for another time.
Well, things are on about space and stuff.
Yeah.
A bit later on. Did you know that Australia is wider than the moon?
Do you know what? That's weird. That is, you know, me on my Get Fact game, my Factor Reset.
Oh yeah.
That's actually one of the facts on it.
Right. Well, fact.
Australia's wider than the moon.
Wider than the moon.
That's mad, isn't it?
I reckon you'll get all them right.
Well, that's only one of them based on space.
Right.
So the rest I don't think he'll do as good on. That's if he gets to that one. That's quite far in the list. So shall we do a new feature?
Go on then.
So you know that Chat GPT thing that I was telling you about?
Oh, the AI.
Yeah. Well, I asked it to give me some news, some random news from around the world, and the news it's giving me is proper random. So here we go. News at Get Fact. In Japan, a man was arrested for allegedly dating more than 35 women at the same time and receiving gifts from them on his birthday, Christmas and other occasions.
He dated 35 women at once.
Yep. In Italy, a man stole a 15th century masterpiece painting from a church, returned it years later and left a note indicating that he had taken it as an act of penance. In the United Kingdom, a group of vegan activists vandalised a meat processing plant by splattering fake blood and graffiti on the building. In China, a man was sentenced to prison for stealing 800,000 pairs of women's underwear over the course of a decade. In Australia, a man was fined for riding his motorised wheelchair on a busy freeway. And that's the news from ChatGPT.
And it's over to Frank with the sports results.
Yeah, over to you with the weather stew. This weekend
It's
gonna
warm.
be shit. It's going to be raining all weekend, isn't it?
It always does when I finish work on a Friday.
I know, I'm the same. Through the week, it's like nice, lovely weather. It's like, oh, I wish I was home now. Comes to the weekend, pissed out.
Yeah.
English weather for you.
Inconsiderate.
Right. So I am a genie, and you've got 3 wishes, but each wish you take has got a consequence. I'll tell you the consequence when you make the wish, and you can choose to accept your wish or not. So what's your first wish?
My first wish. It's probably going to sound a bit sad, but I wish for my 2 daughters to become really successful.
Okay. So you can have that wish, but you lose both your legs.
Fair play.
So you're losing your legs, yeah?
Yeah, I can be back.
Okay.
Your back kills me, so.
So you've got no legs, okay? Wish 2.
I think I see where this is going.
You're gonna end up a pillow.
The second wish is to be able to walk again.
What a wish! Okay, but you can walk again, but you lose your arms. You got yourself in a loop here now.
And my third wish is to make the genie making these wishes human.
So, why?
So you can stop putting all these consequences on me when I'm making wishes.
So, in total, you got no arms left. That's it. That's what you can make with. But your daughter's successful.
Oh, that's fine.
You get no arms. And I'm using for some reason now.
They'll be successful enough with enough money to be able to look after me.
Yeah, to buy your robot arms.
To buy me robotic bionic arms. There's some serious consequences then.
No, yeah. There was a film or something, wasn't it, called Wishmaster or something like that? And
yeah,
that was
Robert Englund.
Was what?
Robert Englund was in the original.
Was it?
Yeah.
He did that type of shit, wasn't it? It's like you give your wishes,
like
but there's like a consequence that fucks up.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, I want new hair, so you give you a hair, but it'll grow all over your body and everything. You're like, oh no, was that 'cause of it? If you could wake up tomorrow and have any talent, what would it be and why?
Any talent?
Yeah.
As opposed to be a really good musician.
I was thinking something along them lines. Like, I'd love to be able,
to be able to play any instrument.
Yeah.
Like Paul McCartney can play any instrument.
Yeah.
So
is that class of talent though? Playing all instruments.
Well, it is, because you can use each instrument. Gauge
you're limited to one instrument.
Are you limited to one instrument? I'll stick with my ukulele.
But to be a lot,
to be a lot better. When I'm cleaning windows.
I don't know what talent I'd want. You know, I'd want something that you can make money from. Obviously. What talents are good? It's got to be some. That'd be handy to have.
God, you put me on the spot here.
Ooh, to breathe underwater.
Oh no, that would be a good talent.
There you go.
Or would that be a skill?
I don't know.
A skillful talent.
I mean, it's a bit of a cheat, to be honest, because it's not humanly possible.
But it'd be great, wouldn't it?
It would. Yeah. You just go for a swim in water and see ya.
I'll see you later. I'm going
a few hours.
Yeah.
Get it. Talent gone. I know, yeah. My talent is to breathe underwater, but I'm scared of sharks and crocodiles.
Yeah.
What a shit talent that is. We'd be able to swim to the bottom at pool without drowning. Tried that once. It was scary. Trying to get down to 16'6" in the pool and nearly didn't make it back up.
I think the most I've done is 15 metres, but that was scuba diving.
Yeah.
So I was breathing underwater.
Oh, was you?
Yeah.
Scuba diving. That doesn't count. It's going deep down. I was holding my breath. I nearly died.
I hold my breath. I've only done about 3 metres.
Oh, yeah. How long can you hold your breath for?
I've no idea, but don't ask me to do it. I heard that last episode.
Yeah, I nearly died.
Yeah.
It's funny because you used to be able to hold your breath well longer when you were a kid. When I tried it that time, it was hard. To be fair.
You had more stamina as a kid though, didn't you?
Yeah. Your lungs are not as battered, are they?
No. When you become a teenager, you start smoking and taking drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Not all.
Oh, yeah, true. Don't take drugs, kids. So, if you could meet any historical character, who would you meet? And what would you ask them? Let's say you can only ask them one question to make it fun. What are you asking them, and who is it?
Oh, I don't know. God, so many people I'd like to meet. Probably John Lennon.
What would you ask him?
Well, I saw the film that portrayed the birth of the Beatles, and they had like a gathering in the house on this film, and then John punched Paul McCartney, and I just asked if that's true.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that, really.
Simple as that, yeah. See, I'd visit someone fucked up like Hitler or something like that, and just ask him like, why did you do all that, like to Jews and stuff?
Just punch him.
Or if they have to tell the truth, I'd go and visit someone like a UFO sightseer or something and ask them, did they actually see it?
Yeah.
And then they have to tell the truth.
Well, Buzz Aldrin claimed that they saw stuff when they went to
Did they?
space. Yeah.
Well, apparently that didn't happen, and that's a conspiracy as well.
I believe it did.
Yeah, it has to, innit?
Yeah, too.
How can you not go to space and pretend all this time?
I know they say things like the mobile phone is more powerful than the computer that powered the Apollo space rocket.
Is it?
Supposedly. But that was technology as it was at the time. And that technology is what gave birth later on and through development to your mobile phone.
The only thing I'm questioning is, like I told you earlier about the rocket today that took off and exploded. Why did that not happen back then?
A lot of
like,
research went into it because the space program started in the early 60s. And they just literally dedicated.
Yeah, but it seems like how have they managed to take a step back? Like, how have they got a successful rocket to go to the moon, come back, land, everything alright?
Yeah.
Then now we'd send it to space, it's blowing up.
Well, somebody got it wrong somewhere, didn't they?
Yeah, but this is Tesla as well. No, not Tesla, Elon Musk. Tesla's dead.
It wasn't battery powered, was it?
I know, yeah, probably why. Yeah, battery powered rocket. There's a guy, right, he's got a puppy, and he woke up to this puppy chewing on his foot. And he chewed it all the way to the bone and even broke the bone, like. What? And apparently this puppy saved his life. His wife came in, she caught the puppy chewing through his leg. He's like almost ripped his leg off completely, and he went to the hospital, got the infection sorted and everything from the bites and that. And the doctor said he had 2 blood clots or whatever in his leg, and it would have killed him. But because the dog did that, that's how he managed to find it.
Maybe the dog knew.
He had no feeling in his leg.
Maybe the dog knew.
Well, that's what I seen.
But they say dogs can sense things.
Dogs can sense things, but I don't think a puppy can sense that and start chewing your leg. I don't think so. I think it is seen as a chew toy.
It's chew toy because the guy couldn't feel his foot, didn't notice.
But imagine if he, goes in a coma. He's fucked. He's getting hit by his puppy. Yeah, I knew you was ill, so I ate you.
Yeah.
I could sense it. Yeah, anyway, we'll get ready for our guest, and then we'll be back in a few minutes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi there.
Hello.
Sorry, not enough coffee and too much watching SpaceX blow up a spaceship.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a good day to talk, wouldn't it? Because SpaceX. Yeah. I only watched the first bit, so I was going around telling everyone, "Oh, SpaceX was great. It was like a great success." I came home, it'd blown up.
Oh man, yeah. When you see like those 33 engines or something,
yeah,
they're all supposed to light, and like 6 of them are out.
Right.
Yeah, you just have to wonder, like, where the hell is quality control?
So what is it that caused it to explode? Do you know?
We don't know. No one will know for a while.
Right.
These things take a while to pick up all the screws and nuts and bolts and try to figure out where things went wrong.
So a scientist Stu earlier. So you know how Neil Armstrong and everything, first person on the moon. So if they manage to go to the moon and come back and land, what is causing things to explode now?
Well, one thing is that during the Apollo era, the United States was investing something like 4% of the federal budget, into getting to the moon.
Right.
you know. And now that's down to about 0.5%. It's 1/8 as much of an investment.
Right.
As we had 50 years ago.
What's the reason behind that? Are they not interested in space anymore, or?
Certainly people at NASA are still interested in space. But, you know, I mean, I think that to even think of space and to look beyond the Earth and look to the future takes a vision that not everyone has. And when you put, you know, bureaucrats who spent their lives studying law into deciding science budgets, bad things happen.
Yeah. Because they've got plans to, like, make that, what is it, like an aeroplane with a rocket attached to it, and they send people to space for like 250 grand a seat, something like that. So how do they plan to do that?
You know, there's a lot of private space developers, and they each kind of have their own thing going. And and the people who are really doing that, you know, who are having these space planes for private use, is really headed up by Virgin Galactic and Richard Branson.
Right.
Are these... Sorry, I was for interrupting. Are these private companies, are they all in competition with each other, or are they all unified?
They're certainly not unified, and I don't think either one of those is completely true. You know, they seem to have be going each in their own directions, you know. And so in a way it's kind of like, you know, is the fast food restaurant competing with the mid-grade family restaurant on the same street? Yes and no, kind of, sort of. You know, they're kind of both in food, but they're both, but it's both a different experience, you know?
So is it cost over quality and vice versa?
Vice versa, and that, right. And so, you know, and I think they each have something to offer as well. And they each have their own challenges, and yes, space is hard.
Right.
You know, it's not just going down to the local chemist, is it?
Well, no.
So I've seen the other day that they found another planet that is like a twin to Earth, and it's so many light years away or something. How long is a light year? It says it's like 25 light years away.
All right. This is great. This is a great question. Okay. Now, when you talk about distances, you really have to pick the best units. You know, you're not going to talk about the distance between Glasgow and London in millimeters.
Right.
You could, but it's a terrible idea. All right. But, and so the distances in astronomy are so great that we need these huge units that are just unfamiliar to people on Earth, you know, typically. All right. And now, light, the fastest thing which probably can be in our universe, travels around 300,000 kilometers per second.
Right.
Now, to put that in perspective, that means that a photon of light, one little bit of light, could race around the equator of the Earth 7.5 times in 1 second.
Right.
All right.
That's fast. That's fast.
So, all right. So, light from the sun takes roughly 8 minutes to reach Earth. All right. What's really fascinating, actually, sidetrack, is that energy is produced at the core of the sun.
Right.
And it takes hundreds of thousands or possibly even 1 million years to reach its surface.
Right.
And then it takes just 8 minutes to reach Earth.
That's mad, isn't it?
All right. So how long is a light year? Now, a light year would be the distance that light could travel at that enormous speed, given an entire year.
Right.
And the nearest stars, Proxima Centauri and Alpha Centauri pair, are roughly about 4 light years
Right.
Okay.
from Earth.
Right.
So these distances are just absolutely incredible. Our Milky Way galaxy is about 100,000 light years across.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's peanuts compared to going to other galaxies.
Yeah. Wow. My mind's blown already.
So
Yeah, the universe is just incredible.
So they've recently found water on the moon, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
So, is it possible to make the oxygen from the water and make it breathable on the moon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty much. Now, another mind-blowing fact.
Right.
Care to take a wild guess what the most common atom on the moon is?
I wouldn't know it's there. No. Do you know?
It's Go ahead.
No. Go on.
It's actually oxygen.
Really?
Oxygen. Yeah, oxygen makes up about 60% of the atoms on the moon.
Wow.
I mean, it's trapped in rocks, and such. But at the south pole of the moon,
Yeah.
there is also ice, and to a lesser extent at the North Pole, there is also ice trapped in eternally frozen, eternally dark craters where the sun never reaches.
Right.
So, it gets deposited. It was deposited there probably by comets colliding with the moon. Roughly 4 billion years ago, from about 4.1 to 3.8 billion years ago, the Earth and Moon went through what's called the heavy bombardment period.
Yeah.
Right.
Where we were just getting whacked left and right with comets and asteroids. And it's possible that played a large part in forming the oceans of Earth.
Okay.
All that water that was delivered. And so the moon would have also gotten some water delivered to it as well. And that water's there because there was nothing to melt it.
So do you think maybe at some point in the future that we would plan to inhabit the moon as well as other planets like Mars and...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. NASA's already planning, has already started down the path of a permanent human presence on the moon. Artemis is a big part, plays a big part in that. And the Chinese and the Russians have agreed to a joint permanent lunar station. And once you're there, if you can get the ice out of these deep craters, turning it into oxygen and hydrogen is literally like 12-year-old science.
Right.
We did it in middle school and here, and it's incredibly simple. Just run some electricity through it with a couple of electrodes, and so that's simple. And the cool bit is you have a bunch of hydrogen left over, which can be used both for plants and for rocket fuel.
Okay.
To go further. All right. Now. This is why that's so cool. So now, if you're on Earth, you have the distinct disadvantages of a whole lot of gravity and a whole lot of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so if you think about, let's say, if you can picture the space shuttle.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. The space shuttle was the shuttle itself, the little space plane type thing.
Yep.
Connected to a huge, gigantic orange fuel tank.
Yep.
That's all that thing was. It was a big fuel tank, 2 fuel tanks. And a couple of solid rocket boosters, which any solid rocket booster is just light one end and that thing's going to go off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And so those solid rocket boosters and that huge amount of fuel in the tank were all just for that first couple of minutes of flight.
Yeah.
Just to get through the atmosphere and just to get past some of Earth's gravity. Mainly the atmosphere is the problem. All right. And now, but when you get to the moon, you could lift off from the moon a heck of a lot easier. More easily.
Yeah.
All right?
Is that because of the gravity?
There's no gravity and no bloody atmosphere.
Yeah, right.
All right. And that means that if you can get I'm going to call it a rocket base for lack of a better term, on the moon, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier to lift things off and bring people to Mars.
Right.
Right.
Or other places from there.
So you said the zero gravity, did you say?
What's that?
You said there's zero gravity on the moon?
No.
Right.
No.
So
No.
could you technically jump off the moon?
Has about... Oh, sorry. So say the moon has about 1/6
right.
at its surface. The gravity is about 1/6 what it is on Earth. But it's still less. The big thing you're getting past, though, is the atmosphere.
Yeah. Right.
And that's gonna make getting places a heck of a lot easier.
So on the moon, what would the food source be? How would they source food?
Well, you have two options. One is you bring some food with you
Right.
from Earth. That's going to be the short-term solution. But that means more mass, more stuff to bring to the moon, more money, more chances of things going kablooey. But in the longer term, we really need to find, researchers are already working on ways of taking the lunar regolith, the surface, dust and rocks and pebbles, and finding ways of turning it into basically potting soil.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to start building gardens, building farms on the moon. And as a matter of fact, China became the first country to put a probe, a lander on the far side of the moon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they had some plants growing. And I think one plant managed to sprout up 2 leaves. and I believe they also have some tardigrades on that system as well. They're probably doing fine, kicking back with a gin and tonic. Watching tardigrade TV,
Yeah.
What's on TDR for? So that's pretty amazing. The future that the human race has in front of it, if we can get a permanent large groups of people living in space, are just mind blowing.
So how they're looking at Mars for being the second Earth almost. Is that possible with the extreme weathers that they have on Mars? Because don't they have really hot weather then really cold weather on Mars?
It's mostly it's actually the problem there really is cold weather.
Right.
At its poles, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it's not any place you'd want to live. Yeah. But at its equator, okay, Moon can get up to Mars, surface of Mars can get up to 15 degrees Celsius.
Right.
Okay.
On a hot summer day, so bearable.
Yeah.
And but the real problem there is that the atmosphere of Mars is only about 1% as thick as it is on Earth, and it's largely carbon dioxide.
Okay.
All right. So one idea, if you're going to actually, in the short term, we would have to live in probably underground bunkers in
right.
space colonies. All right. But if in the long term you wanted to what's called terraform Mars or make it more like Earth, then you might want to start with, let's say, some very dark algae or bacteria, which love breathing in carbon dioxide and exhaling oxygen.
Okay.
Right.
And then you can start over many, many, probably centuries or thousands of years to make Mars more Earth-like.
Yeah.
Now, one of the problems here, I'm full of problems, aren't I? One of the problems here is that at one time, Mars may have been more Earth-like than it is now.
Right.
And that means that there is a chance that life may have evolved there billions of years ago.
Yeah.
And bacterial type life may still be alive there in these tiny thimble-sized pockets of water that may exist a couple meters.
Right.
Yeah, I heard a similar sort of thing from our very own Brian Cox, who did a TV show about the planets, and one of them was Mars, and he did mention about these deposits. He also said that in a funny kind of way, Earth and Mars were competing to be the life force of life millions of years ago, and obviously Earth won.
Right. And it's also possible that life even now may be found in other places in our solar system. For instance, there are some water moons surrounding Jupiter, orbiting Jupiter and Saturn, particularly Europa, which is a huge moon orbiting Jupiter, that has oceans far, far, far larger than those found on Earth.
Wow.
There is a lot deeper oceans, or something like 5 or 10 times as deep as the oceans on Earth. And those things, and anytime you get mineral, water interacting with rock, chemical-rich rock, and add in some heat, which can come from, stretching and pulling of the moon by Jupiter, you're setting up the recipes for life.
Yeah. Wow.
Didn't we just send probes to Jupiter?
Actually, yes. One just lifted off the ESA's JUICE mission.
Right. So
the Icy Moons Explorer. And that is going to be one of the big reasons that was sent off was to go search out these icy moons, particularly Europa.
Yeah.
Looking for signs of life.
Yeah.
It's great. There's at the end of was it 2010? Hal or whatever said I can't remember right now. There's something like, there's a message from the ancient aliens saying you can explore all these moons, but leave Europa alone. That's ours.
Yeah.
So were you...
I'm just so excited about what JUICE is going to find. It's an incredible mission.
Yeah.
So were you disappointed when Pluto lost its title as a planet?
Dwarf planets are still planets too, right?
I agree.
I mean, I love Pluto. Okay, I mean, come on, that thing has
got a big heart, hasn't it?
On it, it's got a big white heart on it, on an orange ruddy surface, and you gotta love the thing. It's sending us love, right? If it were entirely up to me, I think I see some reasons that Pluto should be reinstated as a full planet, but I understand their reasoning.
Yeah.
It's big enough, it's round enough, but the trouble is it hasn't quite, swept out all the debris in its area yet. But
right.
But Pluto is part of what's called the Kuiper Belt.
Yeah.
Which is objects, rocky frozen objects, sitting out at the edge of our planetary system. And there's a lot of debris there to wipe out. I mean, it has a big job ahead of it. And
is that what
job. It's not Pluto's fault.
Is that what the New Horizons probe was for?
Yeah.
To go beyond Pluto?
Yeah, New Horizons is a really incredible revolutionary mission, and so glad it got out, especially since, you know, it may not have had the funding it did if Pluto had not been considered a full planet when the funding went through, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's going to be the first craft to explore the Kuiper Belt, which is just incredible. And there are some objects in the Kuiper Belt larger than Pluto.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, should those be considered planets?
Well,
or, you know, they're considered dwarf planets now, but you know, it's an interesting debate. I would have kept it as a planet, and I was a little disappointed that it lost its full title. But I love dwarf planets too. Yay, dwarf planets.
So, do you believe in aliens yourself?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
It's I mean, okay. We have found life anywhere on Earth that we look, pretty much, okay?
Yep.
From volcanic vents,
Yeah.
you know, to the very bottoms of oceans where light and oxygen never reach, feeding off of hydrogen sulfide, all right? And to the, you know, underneath the ice packs of Antarctica.
Yeah. There's also snails that live in volcanoes.
Oh yeah, the little iron.
Little iron shells.
Snails. How freaking are those things? Have you seen pictures of them?
Yeah.
And so, you know, and carbon is just out there everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and all life is based on roughly 20 different amino acids. Yeah. We have found every single amino acid needed for life in comets, everywhere, in dust clouds. You know, it's just, and this stuff is just, the ingredients for life are everywhere. And the number of planets out there is incredible. All right, put this in perspective. If you go out to the darkest sky you can imagine, all right, darkest skies you've ever been under, and look up, if you were able to count all the stars, it'd be roughly 5,000 stars you could see with the naked eye. All right, under ideal conditions.
Okay.
If you had 5,000 grains of sand, you could easily hold it in your hand.
Okay.
All right. But the number of stars in our galaxy alone is roughly about 200 to 400 billion stars in our galaxy, in the Milky Way. If you had 200 or 400 billion grains of sand, it would take you 2 large lorries probably to hold it, depending on their size.
Yeah.
Now, there's also at least 100 billion, if not a trillion, other galaxies out there.
Yeah.
I mean, ours is fairly large, but it's not horribly massive. But anyway, if you took the number of stars in all of those galaxies, it would be greater than the number of grains of sand on every beach in the world.
Yeah. I think.
Wow.
All right.
It's just mind-boggling to know stuff like that.
And now we know that there are likely more planets than stars. Right. So there are more planets than there are grains, far more planets in the universe than there are grains of sand on Earth.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
And the stuff of life is flowing everywhere amongst them. If we are the only life in the universe, that's an awful waste of space.
It is. Yeah.
It's a good point to make.
Because haven't we recently had like signals coming from somewhere in space?
Well, we have signals coming from everywhere. Depends what they are.
Yeah.
Every one we found so far, we think, is a natural source. There's all sorts of many things in the universe give off radio signals. All right. Finding radio signals or signals from another galaxy or whatever may get clicks, but it's nothing extraordinary. Okay.
Right.
What you want to look for is signals that show signs of intelligence.
Right.
All right. And
so what would that be like? Like a Morse code?
Right. And but like if you get these signals that are coming through at some rate or at some form that cannot be natural.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you're looking at something interesting. I mean, if the signal's up there, sending out, the first 3 digits of pi, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no quasar doing that thing. That's an intelligent being. And so that's what you really want to look for. Now, what's really interesting is that artificial intelligence is now being used to look over all this old data from radio telescopes and stuff. And this AI has pointed out now, I believe it's 8 signals that look like they might be unnatural.
Right.
Ooh, interesting.
But it's really a matter of doing a whole lot of science and a whole lot of math on those things.
Yeah. But if these signals are coming from
if there is something there.
light years away, is it possible that we've missed the call? Because it's already happened.
Yeah, quite definitely.
Yeah,
quite definitely.
Yeah.
Quite definitely. The Big Bang happened roughly a little less than 14 billion years ago.
Yeah.
And, the oldest galaxies, maybe 10, 12 billion years old, which means, but the Earth is only about 4.5 billion years old, which means that planets may have formed, 12 billion years ago, completely gone through the entire process of life that we have since day one, twice.
Yeah.
Right.
In the amount of time before Earth was even formed.
Yeah.
Right.
There was a whole lot of history in the universe before the Earth got here, much less us,
Yeah.
So it's quite possible 100,000, invites to join the Galactic Federation come and gone.
Yeah.
So
while we were still amoebas.
So for someone like myself, how would you, and I know Stephen had the same question, how would you explain what a black hole is to someone like myself who's a complete layman?
Yeah.
Great. That's a fantastic question. Okay. In short, black holes are objects whose gravity is so great that light cannot escape it.
Right.
All right. If you're on Earth, you have a rocket. All right. You have to attain a certain speed, a certain velocity, and get beyond the atmosphere and attain a certain velocity to keep orbiting around the Earth.
Yep.
All right. Or to even leave the Earth and go to the Moon, Mars, beyond. And the escape velocity is determined by how much mass is there, on the Earth, let's say, and how large it is, how tightly compacted that mass is.
Okay.
All right. Now, if you were to take the Earth in a giant vice grip and shrink it down, its escape velocity would become greater and greater and greater and greater and greater until it reached about the size of a marble, say about 2-3 centimeters across. At which point, its escape velocity would exceed that of the speed of light, so that even light was not fast enough to get out of there. It would still have its gravity, it would still be sucking things in, but you wouldn't see it.
Right.
Okay.
It itself would not be giving off any radiation, though there's a heck of a lot of radiation that comes from things spinning in to them and heating up. Now, how do black holes form?
Yes.
All right. There are a couple different ways. We think there are at least 3, if not 4, different types of black holes. The 2 major ones are what are called stellar mass black holes and supermassive black holes.
Okay.
All right. Now, stellar mass black holes, as you might suspect, are made from stars. Stars have a whole lot of nuclear reactions going on at their core, and they have a whole lot of gravity trying to pull them inward.
Right.
Okay.
Now, for most of their lives, stars are balanced between the gravitational force trying to pull it inward and the nuclear pressure pushing outward. So it stays balanced for billions of years. Okay? Now, those are called main sequence stars. It's what they do most of the time. All right?
Yeah.
That's the takeaway from that. Now, the trouble is that stars like our sun fuse hydrogen into helium in order to produce this nuclear power.
Okay.
And at some point, the sun won't turn into a black hole, but this massive star will run out. Will run out of stars. Our sun too will run out of hydrogen.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a big fear for some people.
Think for some people, right? And the star and the sun will run out of its fuel, so it no longer has that nuclear pressure pushing outward. So now gravity starts winning. Gravity starts pulling the sun inward. We'll make it smaller and smaller. But now the pressures at the core are beginning to build up.
Right.
And they're becoming greater and greater and greater. Now the pressure for the first time becomes so great that it's now able to fuse helium into heavier elements. Right. And then the nuclear pressure starts back up. The sun's going to expand out in about 4 billion years into what's called a red giant, similar to, but much smaller than Betelgeuse. And that is going to, and then eventually, all right, now you have nuclear pressure winning out against gravity. But now as the sun expands, the pressure becomes less, nuclear pressure goes down, the inner part of the star begins to collapse again. All right, and that's going to leave a big cloud of colorful gas around our sun.
Right.
Which would be a big thing to anyone, sitting around watching then. And all right, and different stars go through this process using different elements a number of times, depending on how massive they were to begin with. All right, but now when you get stars that are more than about 10 times the mass of the sun, then when they shrink down, they no longer have, when it reaches to the point where it's starting to produce lead, it no longer has the ability to create that nuclear pressure. And the star just keeps shrinking smaller and smaller. And just as we saw when we shrunk the Earth down, its surface gravity becomes greater. It becomes greater and greater. Its escape velocity keeps rising until the point where where the escape velocity from that star becomes so great that even light can't leave it.
Right.
And that's how stars become black holes.
Right. Okay.
So,
all right, and those are called stellar mass black holes, and that's the most common type of black hole.
So the term, when it says a black hole can suck something into it, is that because of the gravity being so great? It's not like literally a hole that just falls into nowhere.
No. I mean, it's like trying to walk along an icy hill in the winter.
Right.
Yeah.
You may not want to slide down it quite
but
the
you
way
go in there
do,
anyway.
But you're gonna fall down that hill. You're gonna slide down that hill for the same reason stuff falls into a black hole.
Yeah.
So did it not
the way
know
the
what
energy
happens
pulling it.
when they go through a black hole?
That is one of the greatest questions in physics.
Yeah.
No one is quite sure. There's a lot of debate. Now, what's kind of interesting and kind of gruesome all at the same time is, is a process called spaghettification.
Right.
All right? You're in a spaceship and you're headed toward this black hole or anywhere near it. Now, the gravity from the black hole at the nose of your spaceship is greater than the gravity at the tail of your spaceship or your body. And so what that means is that it pulls the front more than it pulls the back.
Right.
It stretches out your spacecraft or your body like taffy.
Right.
So that's the way you would probably die if the radiation didn't get to you first.
You'd just be
There's
stretched.
a whole lot of radiation around black holes. And so that's pretty cool. Now, another type of black hole, and the other major type is what's called a supermassive black hole.
Right.
And they, as the name suggests, are supermassive.
Okay.
And nearly every galaxy has a supermassive black hole at its center. Our own Milky Way galaxy is centered around a supermassive black hole with about 4 million times as much mass as the Earth.
Yeah.
As the Sun. And so, if you think about just how large the Sun is, the Sun contains about 99% of everything in the solar system.
Yeah.
And this black hole has 4 million times as much mass as that.
Jesus.
Wow.
All right. Now black holes. You have to mention the word black hole. You're going to regret this. All right. Now, if you get close enough to a black hole where even the escape velocity from where you are is beyond the speed of light, you're trapped. All right. There's a whole region around black holes called the event horizon. It's basically the point of no return.
Okay.
If you cross that line, you are toast. All right.
Yeah.
Nothing, for the most part, gets out of that line. All right. And so if you see this point of no return, this event horizon, typically for a stellar mass black hole, the event horizon might be about 1/5 of the distance, let's say, between the Sun and the planet Mercury.
Okay.
Right.
All right. It's decent size, but you could probably avoid it. If you're whipping through space. All right. But the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way is something like 5 times as large as our solar system, as our planetary system.
Yeah.
The distance, like 5 times the distance between the Sun and Neptune. That is a huge place where you don't want to go.
Well, I'll be sure to avoid that one.
Let's hope so, right? But black holes are some of the most amazing things out there, and there's so little we know about them. Now, there are 3 or 4 types of black holes. The stellar mass black holes and the supermassive black holes are the 2 major ones.
Yeah.
There's also what are called, we think there are possibly things called primordial black holes, which are these little teeny tiny mini black holes that may have been formed soon after the Big Bang.
Right.
We're not entirely sure if those actually exist or not, but math says, yeah, probably.
Right.
Now, then there are intermediate mass black holes, which have long been predicted. These black holes would have masses between 10 and 20 times as much as our Sun. And there was no direct evidence for those either until just a few years ago. now we're beginning to see things that look like they may be intermediate mass black holes.
Right.
And what's kind of cool about those is that no one has any idea how they form.
Right.
Nothing, no known process should be able to create an intermediate mass black hole.
Yeah.
But they appear to be out there. There's no reason they shouldn't be out there other than that, But they may be the creation of stellar mass black holes created from the merger of these smaller, of these stellar mass black holes that may be growing into supermassive black holes. So it could be kind of adolescent black holes, if you will. So that's one of the biggest questions in physics right now. Yeah. In astrophysics.
Right. So in the movie Interstellar, they go to a planet where it's like one day is like 10 years or something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but would that actually happen? Is there like planets you go to and you come back and everyone's old?
Yes, I mean all planets have different rates at which they go around their star or their stars. Mercury, for instance, a year on Mercury only lasts 88 days.
Right.
So I would be older. But the real time dilation comes in when you're accelerating. If you're in a spacecraft and you're able to accelerate, to a significant portion of the speed of light, and then turn around and come back, depending on your speed, the distance, maybe 10 years might have passed for you,
right?
But 2,000 years might have passed on Earth.
Oh, right. That'd be horrible, that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's like on the time.
I'm not so sure.
I mean, you're in the future, but everyone that you know's gone.
Yeah, it's true. I just want to bring everyone I love with me. Then come back to Earth, and everyone's living like the Jetsons.
What do you think happened?
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, you said it'd be like the Jetsons. What do you actually think is the future for humans? Do you think we'll become like pet robot almost with all this that's going on at the moment with AI and all that? There are a lot of possibilities there. I mean, unfortunately, we're in a place where in our time, in our evolution, where we have the ability to destroy ourselves during the length of a short afternoon. And we have the ability to literally reach for the stars and the infinite abundance of resources that are beyond that, and that are found in the cosmos. And we have to make the decision as a species of whether we're going to keep fighting amongst ourselves and fighting for every little scrap and every little resource and pile of dead ferns that are buried underneath the ground somewhere, or are we gonna take this opportunity we have to move ourselves permanently beyond the Earth, and ensure the future of the human race. Which path we take is really going to determine the future of the human race. But I will say that we have an amazing thing going on, a couple of amazing things going on right now, which is, first, as we've discussed, we are at the verge of having a large number of people living in space for the first time. Right.
Okay.
All right. And that means that if and that means that, 100, 150 years from now, some 12-year-old girl who has never once been on Earth or whose parents have never once been on Earth, living in a habitat on Mars,
right,
is not going to have a lot of loyalty to any one nation or group or whatever on Earth. Okay, that's it. The squabbles of nations on Earth will appear as distant to her as wars between Athens and Sparta appear to us today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. That's one big thing. Nationalism is going to die if we get out into space.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the first things to fall, along with most of our economic and systems, our mores, everything is going to change, moving a lot of people into space. And then another thing we have going on is in the next few years, we are very, very likely to find evidence for life beyond Earth.
Right. Seems to be a lot happening lately. There's a lot happening lately in regards to that.
Yeah, right. And that in itself is going to radically change the way we think of ourselves, our place in the universe, and even what we consider to be alive. And the third thing that's happening that we're already seeing now is the rise of generative AI, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And especially what's called AGI, or artificial general intelligence. And this means that computers are very close to achieving, or will be very close to achieving, what we might consider sentience or consciousness.
Right.
Okay.
And then we have to ask ourselves, could even non-biological systems be considered alive and conscious and even worthy of rights?
Like a robot?
Yeah. Android. But it doesn't even have to look like a human. It could, look like a bread box.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Or Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so that means that in about 30 years, these three radical things are going to happen. We're going to have people living off Earth in large numbers for the first time. We're going to find life on other worlds. And computers are going to most likely reach consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're already outsmarting
all
humans.
Three of those things. Yeah, all three of those things are when they come together, and they will in the next couple of decades.
Yeah.
Are what I like to call the nexus. It is the perfect storm of events that together will represent the largest change in human evolution since our distant hominid ancestors first came down out of the trees.
I was talking to Stu about this before. They're saying that, chimpanzees, that they're on the next stage of evolution. Apparently now they're making their own campfires and stuff. I was saying to Stu,
that's wonderful.
What if they actually start catching up to us? Because they've got someone to watch and copy, but we haven't. We have to figure things out, but they can just copy.
Yeah, well, we can copy too, and but chimps are amazing. This is one of the things. It was of course Jane Goodall who is in Africa and first recognized signs of intelligence and human-like intelligence in chimpanzees. And since then, we've discovered so many other animals that do things that we once thought were limited to humans only.
Yeah.
I mean, crows are clever little buggers.
Crazy crows, aren't they? With them sticks, where they make them get things with sticks in bottles.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this whole thing, could be like, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And mice are running the whole place playing experiments on that.
Yeah.
So as a scientist yourself, what is it that's exciting you right now? What's getting your scientific juices flowing?
Oh my God. Right now, one of the huge stories is, of course, Webb. You know, the Webb telescope is just unprecedented in what it's gonna find. Now, what's really interesting is about 40 light years away from us is a system of planets called TRAPPIST-1. This is a system of 7 planets, and at least 4 of them are within what's called the habitable zone.
Yeah.
Sometimes called the Goldilocks zone, away from its sun, where it's neither too hot nor too cold. It's just right. And the James Webb already, 1/8 of the time for James Webb, or about 12.5% of the time James Webb is spending, is going to be looking at just this one solar system alone.
Right.
That's how good the chances are that we're going to find life, signs of life there.
Yeah.
And, and back 50 years ago, there was SETI, a search for extraterrestrial intelligence.
Yep.
Have you ever seen the movie Contact?
Yep.
These, radio astronomers were looking for signs of intelligent radio waves.
Yeah.
3, 1, 4, 1, 5, And, but for the vast majority of time on Earth, there were no radio telescopes here.
Right.
Yep.
We spent billions of years having just, primitive bacteria-like things and single-celled organisms, plant and cyanobacteria covering Earth without any intelligent beings to be sending out radio waves. That means it's a similar thing happening, almost certainly did on other worlds. That means that most of the life out there is probably bacterial, or at least the most plants, or something that you would never pick up with radio telescopes. But what James Webb can do is it looks for planets that are passing in front of their stars as seen from Earth. And that means that some of the light from that alien star is going through the atmosphere of that exoplanet. And by looking at that light that passes through that atmosphere, you can tell what is in that atmosphere. Oxygen, nitrogen, water vapor, whatever.
Yeah.
And there are a few gases that are typically produced just by life, at least in stable forms, like methane. There's way too much methane in Earth's atmosphere for there not to be life here. There's way too much oxygen for there not to be life here.
Yeah.
And so what's going to happen is Webb's going to start picking up these chemical markers, what we call biomarkers of life. And that is going to be the first really, really good evidence for life on other worlds. And that's what's really floating my boat right now.
Right.
That's it.
So how you say about telescopes? I've been wanting to buy one. Would you say it's worth getting one? Like, can you see quite a bit through a normal telescope that you can buy from a shop?
Right. It is super easy to get gypped when buying a telescope.
Right.
All right. You can have money taken. You can have money. You can lose a lot of money buying a bad telescope.
Right.
Don't do that.
That's what I'm scared of doing.
Now there are telescopes. No one telescope is going to be perfect for everyone. Right. All right. What you want to do is, most important thing would be to buy a really good brand name. Celestron is a fantastic name, as is Orion or Meade. Now, Meade was recently bought by Orion, so they're basically the same company now.
Right.
But I've never had any problems with anything from any of those companies. Now, there are 3 different types of telescopes. There are refractors, like you see with the
Yeah.
lens up front and the little eyepiece out back, and they're good for the moon and looking at little things. And if you have a kid, fine, But they're really expensive to make in large diameters. All right. Now there are reflector telescopes, which have invented by Isaac Newton, which has a curved mirror in the back. Light comes in, bounces off the mirror, and then bounces up to an eyepiece on the side.
Yeah.
Those allow you to get much more of a telescope,
right,
than you could for the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Right.
With a refractor. But the mirrors go out of alignment with each other sometimes, and you have to wait for it to acclimate to temperature if it's a cold night and what have you. So the advantage is you can get a telescope that can see more, but it's harder to use,
right,
than a refractor.
Yeah.
Third option is what's called a Cassegrain design, which bounces light around a few times.
Yeah.
In itself, it's much smaller than a reflector. Easier to carry, much more portable, much less maintenance on them, but they're also the most expensive of the three types.
Right.
So really it depends what you want to do, but there are a lot of great telescopes out there that you can buy.
Yeah.
You could really enjoy nights out. Another option is what's called remote telescopes.
Right.
And there are these organizations that own and operate telescopes around the world.
Yeah.
So that you can use these telescopes from the comfort of your own home.
Remotely.
Right. And they're pretty, most of them are pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
And then you can take, these images that you get from these telescopes, and then process them any way you like. And processing is a little bit of a challenge. There's a learning curve to it,
right.
But it's a great, enjoyable hobby. It's something I love. I love doing.
That'd be good.
And these remote telescopes allow you to use like really good sized scopes that are, under the darkest skies in the world in Chile or the Canary Islands or what have you. I love remote telescope work.
Yeah. So
here's an interesting.
Go on.
Let's just say the remote control telescopes are not only for amateur astronomers who want to do astronomy from their homes. Yeah. But they're also they're now becoming the primary way of professional astronomers using telescopes.
Yeah.
Around 60% of people graduating with astronomy degrees today will never once set foot inside an observatory to do work.
Right.
It's all remote now.
All right. That's crazy.
That brings us back to the web then, doesn't it? That you said you were getting excited about.
Yeah. Right. And so, and actually the whole idea of remote control telescopes was first developed here in Tucson, Arizona, where I live, as means of testing what would become the Hubble Space Telescope.
Right.
Right.
They knew, oh man, if we're going to put a telescope up into space, we need to figure out how to get it to, send us information and send us pictures and data and what have you. And so, of course, they built a telescope up on a Kitt Peak where I used to volunteer. And they ran it down to Tucson, which is 80 kilometers away, 60 kilometers away. And they, of course, set up all these wires and stuff to get this telescope on top of a mountain to send data down to Tucson. And it failed miserably. There was at the time it was late 60s, early 70s, and people just didn't have, the technology wasn't there to transmit the type of data that was needed. But now remote control telescopes are everywhere. Present an amazing opportunity.
I believe that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin weren't the only people to get to the moon, were they? I believe, if I heard correctly, that your parents, although not in physical form, were able to get to the moon as well. Is this true?
In a way, they did. I just admitted this to NASA a couple of years ago because I figure at this point they're not going back for this thing. But yeah, my dad was an electronics engineer, and he was just an electronics genius. The guy could, was like the professor from Gilligan's Island. He could, take 2 turtle shells and a piece from the radio and build a nuclear reactor out of the thing.
He'd have been good on the A-team.
Yeah, and one time we used to go out with telescopes every weekend, and we were in New England, and we were sick of getting clouded out. And so one Saturday, he turned to me and he's like, "You want to build a radio telescope?" "Yes, I want to build a radio telescope." And we went to Radio Shack and bought all the pieces for building a radio telescope, which can see through clouds. Anyway, so my dad, in the early '60s, got the contract to design what are called power supplies for the Apollo project.
Okay.
And so he had to hire a lot of people quickly. And one of the people he hired turns out that he fell in love with one of the women he hired, and they got married, and I was born several years later. So I'm here. So I am quite literally like several demigods in Greek mythology, I am quite literally a child of Apollo. And so anyway, they built these power supplies, and the power supplies were sealed. They're in a case, they're a box of electronics in a sealed black case. And NASA said to all of their subcontractors, "Oh, no, you can't put any sort of, extra markings, or don't put anything special in any of these things except for what the contract calls for." Right? But he figured, he was putting together the power supplies for Apollo 11, and he figured, oh, well, this thing's going to the moon for the first time. No way I'm not going to put something on there. So he and my mother and all of his employees autographed the insides of these power supplies.
Right.
Sealed them up so that NASA would never see them, and then sent them off. And so my parents' names are still contained within the base of the lander on the moon. So that's pretty cool. I mean,
that's fantastic.
Nowadays you can, NASA and ESA and such often have things where they say, "Oh, send us your name. We'll send it to this probe, going to Mars." And I mean, right now my name, my wife's name, and our cat's name is, orbiting the sun with the Parker Solar Probe. But it was pretty cool that that they managed to get their names on up in space long before it was common.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So go ahead.
So I was just going to ask her, what out of all the space related films, what's your favourite one? What's your favourite space film?
I know this is kind of a default, but I would have to say Contact. Contact is just so amazing, and I love Jodie Foster's performance in it. I appreciate that the movie until the end was fairly true to the book.
Right.
But it also showed how people in the world might actually react. Were there to be an intelligent radio signal developed. I mean, you'd have all the people, claiming fake news, and
Yeah.
probably a number of people protesting things, and other people being given hope for the first time in their lives.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That things might be better, might become better. And I hate to say this, but there probably would be some groups, trying to, create some sort of terrorist attack on any sort of institution that made us aware that we're not alone in the universe.
Yeah.
But I think it's also one of the greatest hopes for mankind at the same time that we might realize that the universe wasn't put here just for us.
Yeah, yeah.
So have you seen the film The Martian with Matt Damon?
I love it. I've read the book. Yeah.
Because I believe Neil deGrasse Tyson. You've spoke to.
Yeah,
well,
I've had him on the
he
show.
helped making the sky for that film. So that the stars in the right place and all that. Yeah, that's why I kind of like that one. It's more real. But in that, we discussed earlier about the food sources. In that, he makes the potato crops. So, just wondering if that would become true. That type of thing.
Potatoes are actually probably going to be one of the first crops.
Yeah.
Grown on Mars, but there'll be other ones. Most likely kale.
Yeah.
Will be coming pretty early on. Some of the hardier crops, bamboo shoots, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's basically going to be, a vegan sandwich.
Yeah.
But that is actually kind of interesting because even in it's that the first foods on Mars and on the Moon that are grown there are likely to be vegan.
Yeah.
Because meat industry and dairy industry just requires so many resources.
Yeah.
Those resources won't be available for a long, long time. So if you're going to go live up in space,
Yeah.
you better get used to eating veggie sandwiches.
Well, it could turn to cannibalism, and then you've got your meat sauce.
I suppose you could, the whole soil and green thing.
One of my favourite films is, although it's not entirely space related, but it's to do with Alien, is The Predator. The first one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And I like the idea of the light bending technology that it uses for camouflage. Now, I don't know if this is your field of expertise, I suppose I could say. Do you think that kind of technology will or is available to us?
A bit. They're working on it. And, I've seen demonstrations of this, light bending technology. And, you can... you can see the wall behind the person, but it's kind of like if you're looking through an aquarium.
Yeah.
Yeah, things look just a little wavy and a little off. But that technology is actually not too far in front of us.
Okay, there you go. You'll be able to turn to Predator soon.
Yeah, just hold up one of these sheets around you and, jump over the barrier into the tube, free rides all day long.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, that.
In the latest Fast and Furious movie, I know this is something stupid, but they go to space in a car using, the suits that you use for, like, going in water. What are they called?
Like scuba suits?
Yeah, the olden scuba suits. That's what they use in space. Would that be possible? I know it's airtight, but...
I wouldn't try it.
It's certainly not in my car, anyway.
I would not try that. No.
No.
Okay,
that's
given that we're, what is it, about 6, 7, 8 hours ahead of you,
Yeah.
then to a degree, we're kind of that many hours into your future. Hello. And same again in reverse.
Give me the winning Irish lottery.
And same again in reverse, you're in our past. So there's a bit of a paradox right there. But do you think
Silly
that...
me.
Do you think that...
Silly me and my quaint ways.
Do you think that time travel is or will be possible at some point?
Wow, that would be so cool if that could happen.
If it hasn't already
Again,
happened some points in the future.
If it hasn't already and will happen again. So like Battlestar Galactica, right? And we now, can things move backward and forward in time? Yes, if they're small enough and weird enough. There are things like some subatomic particles go through what are called closed time-like loops.
Okay.
Where they're kind of always sort of going backward and forward in time over and over and over again, right? But that's an extremely, extremely small scale type thing. I would not hold out a lot of hope for, a sort of H.G. Wells type time machine.
Yeah.
And then the question becomes, some people say, well, you can only go forward. If you could travel through time, maybe you could only go backwards and not forward. Some people have said the exact opposite. You can only go forward and not backward. And so there are a lot of technical problems to get through, even if it's theoretically possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced that it is possible on the macro level, on the macroscopic level.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong, and maybe I already changed my mind 10 years from now.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So
I will have let you know.
yeah. So have you heard of the theory, the Younger Dryas theory?
Try to remember. This was. If you can refresh me,
So basically, so Graham Hancock basically said that humanity may have existed over 14,000 years ago. Was they basically made the pyramids and stuff like that. They had different technology, but then comets hit Earth and basically reset Earth. I was hoping you knew more, so you could tell me a bit more about it.
Right. Well, the first human-like animals, first evolved a couple million years ago with Lucy and the then about 20,000 years ago, things started becoming a little more organized. People started, organizing into groups and such. And so different civilizations proceeded at different rates, different, valleys, different city-states. There are reports, there's some evidence to suggest that the Mycenaean people who lived on the island of Terra in the Aegean may have developed a primitive form of central heating and air conditioning.
Right.
Back about 9,000 BCE.
Yeah.
And good plumbing, and were actually fairly advanced for their time.
Yeah.
And actually what's interesting is that the island of Terra was destroyed by a volcano.
Okay.
And the whole island flooded. And there is a possibility that the actual story of Terra and the Mycenaean people came down through history and became our legend of Atlantis. So yeah, different different. So they didn't have flying cars or anything, but they were far more advanced than most people of the age.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's possible that that type of thing was based on some reality.
Yeah.
History becomes myth becomes legend. And the people are clever. Egyptians were clever. They had a lot of great math that was designed to figure out how the stars, positions of stars in the nighttime sky told them when the Nile was going to flood.
Right.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And they had some good math. Yeah. And there were ways of doing things that may be different from the way we do them now. They may not have had the Pythagorean theorem specifically, shaped out, but they could build pyramids.
Yeah.
That's, and a pyramid is the only shape that any primitive civilization could build to any great height.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why there are pyramids in Egypt and in other parts of Africa and South America, in Australia. There are pyramids in different places. And even where you are, Stonehenge.
Yeah.
That was, they should not have been able to bring those big, huge rocks.
Right.
Over these huge distances. But somehow, probably on skids, they figured out a way to do it. The Celts were clever people.
Right.
Humans have always had ingenuity and have found ways of doing things.
Yeah.
There probably were some much more advanced civilizations than we currently count on.
Right.
In ancient times. But I don't think there were, I don't think there's necessarily a need for aliens or comets coming down and and smashing them. Civilizations fall apart on their own.
Yeah.
Quite often.
Right.
As we saw with the Anasazi people here in the Southwest United States, where I am.
Yeah.
They had a remarkable culture. They did all kinds of great astronomy. They recorded the supernova of 1054. They had some great stuff going, some decent science, and their civilization almost immediately died down in 50 odd years.
Right.
And it was probably because of a drought.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, there were advanced civilizations and they died out, but it doesn't necessarily, but humans could have the ability to create those things, and that's a much simpler answer, in my opinion.
So we're running out of time because I need to put my son to bed. But do you mind doing a game that I've made called Fact or Reset?
Oh, please.
So basically, the aim of the game is I give you some facts. So you answer fact if it's a fact, or reset if you think it's a made-up fact that I've made up. Okay?
All right.
And the aim of the game is to get as many as you can right. So,
all right.
I've actually got a leaderboard here. Your name's at the bottom, waiting to go on the list. So, let's see what I do. I'll play my little jingle for you. I've got.
All right.
Stand clear. It's fact or reset.
Right, so we'll start. The first one. Ketchup was once sold as medicine.
I'm going to say reset.
Nope, you're wrong. But the aim on this game is until you're on the leaderboard, you can keep going. So,
all right.
Next one. A tomato is a crossbreed of oranges and peppers.
Peppers are in the belladonna family. I'm going to say that one's fact.
Nope. Wrong again. I made that one up. Right. Australia is wider than the moon.
Believe that one is a fact.
Yep, it is a fact. You're on the board. So anything
All
wrong
right.
from now, this is your score.
All right.
Bathtubs were originally made out of buffalo skulls.
Made into what?
Bathtubs were originally made out of buffalo skulls.
Oh, buffalo skulls. I'm going to say a reset.
Yep, you was right. So you're on 2. Right. The Xbox got its name from Bill Gates' personal belongings on a box that has an X marked on it.
I am going to say fact.
No, wrong. That's it. You got a 2. You're in second place with 2. Oh, thanks for playing anyway. Just thought
Could
to
be
change it
worse.
up a little bit. Oh. Yeah, but it's been great talking to you, and I've learned loads today.
I just have one last thing.
Go
Are you
Sure.
science over God or God over science?
Ooh.
That's a. I don't find. I find science to be the simpler, more logical
Yeah.
Yeah.
answer. All right. Here's a little thing. All right. Now, if you say that there is a God, depends how you define God, right?
Yeah.
If you say there is a God who moves every single molecule all the time, is responsible for every bird falling out of the sky, is a total micromanager of every atom in the cosmos.
Yeah.
There's no real way of arguing with that or saying this is not likely, because you can always attribute it. It's a Deus Ex Machina. It's a machine of God. It's literally, why did this happen? Oh, God made it happen.
Yeah.
There's no way of debating that. But if you say, okay, well, there is a supreme being who made the universe, made the cosmos, and since then has pretty much been kicking back, letting the laws of nature do its thing.
Yeah.
Occasionally from, apart from occasionally splitting the Red Sea or something. Right. Then what you're saying is there is a supernatural being and the laws of nature.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Now, so if you have this idea, this paradigm, then you're saying, okay, I have a supernatural being, but the laws of nature run everything. Another way of looking at things are there are just the laws of nature running everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So it's either that one condition, laws of nature, or that same condition, laws of nature, plus a supernatural being
Right.
out there. All right. And so just logically, I can tell you, a factor reset. I have a friend named Colin.
Yeah.
All right, which there's a possibility of it. All right, let's say
Yep.
10% possibility. Or I can say I have a friend named Colin, and he is wearing a red shirt.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So the number of Collins wearing red shirts cannot exceed the number of total Collins.
Right. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So any condition, I have a friend named Colin, plus that versus that condition plus another condition,
Yeah.
and he is wearing a red shirt.
Yeah.
It means that those two conditions together are less likely than just that one condition.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So therefore, it is logically less likely that there is the laws of nature and God than there is just the laws of nature.
Right.
Okay.
So if that makes any sense, that it's so therefore I see it as being much more likely that the laws of nature exist
Yeah.
than that the laws of nature and a supernatural being both exist.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
There's your question.
Answered. Question answered. Okay.
Well,
But
we're going to wrap it up now. Thanks for everything.
It's been amazing.
yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Truly amazing. That was just blown my mind with
I
something.
think I need to know if I take it all in now.
I know.
I really appreciate you guys taking the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
taking
no
the
worries.
time to do this.
Yeah.
But thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. I've listened to a couple of your episodes, and I really like your show.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
nice.
I also meant to tell you, I know a guy. I don't know if you ever heard of him, Rob Leah.
Not,
He
No,
writes.
check it out.
He's a science writer, astronomy writer. Writes for Astronomy Magazine, Space.com.
Okay.
All these other big, huge things. Anyway, he's writing Liverpool.
oh, right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's an amazing guy, real nice, and he's a pretty big name science space writer these days. And anyway, I've talked to him, and he checked out your show, and
Yep.
he'd be interested in being on if you guys are
Oh,
interested.
that'd be
Oh,
great.
yeah, it'd be great, yeah.
The more the
Put you
merrier.
in contact with him.
Yeah, if you can
All right.
contact him and let me know if he wants to come on.
Yeah, sure.
Marvellous.
That'd
Sounds great.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for everything.
It's been absolutely amazing to
All
talk
right.
to you, and good luck with the Cosmic Companion.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just love the show. Take care, guys.
All right,
Take
see you
care.
later.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.
Ooh, that was
Wow.
an episode. Yeah. That's a lot to take in.
That was wow.
Yeah.
I feel like I've just been to school.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
I'm
But
48 years old and I've
it's
just been to
school,
school.
but you enjoy it.
I did.
proper.
I proper enjoyed that.
I did. I learned loads.
Wow.
I'm still stuck on the thingy theory though. Still believe in it. The comet's it. 14,000 years. Yeah. Anyway, not finished yet because we're going to have a little toilet break and we're going to come back and we're going to do the Dragon's Den.
Okay.
I'm not missing that. I want to know what you've invented. So, 2 minutes.
Okay.
And we are back. So, this is the part where Dragon's Den. So, Stu, I asked you for some homework. I said, make some inventions and sell it to me. So, what inventions have you brought today to the Dragon's Den?
Well, I'm not really good at pitching stuff, so I'll just sort of keep it plain and simple.
Right.
But this first one is aimed at... Well, we live in a lazy generation now, don't we? It's a lazy society.
Yeah.
And so I thought about shoes that walk themselves.
Shoes. Oh.
You put them on,
Yeah.
and you don't have to put any effort into it, and you just go to the shop.
Kind of like what's it called? Wallace and Gromit. Then pants.
Yeah,
The robotic pants.
yeah, similar to that, but shoes.
Shoes, just shoes.
Pair of Adidas.
You'd never find them, will you? In house. They got my shoes. They're
fed
up
up.
street.
They got fed up with you and walked off.
Yeah.
Your feet stink.
Well, how much are you looking to invest, and what percent am I getting back?
I don't care. It's just fun. Just give me some money so I can develop the
I'll give you
idea.
20 quid for 80%.
I'll do, yeah.
yeah.
Pair of Dunlops.
See ya. And he runs off with his shoes.
Yeah, pair of Dunlop self-walkers.
Yeah. Okay. What's your second invention?
The second one is imagine being either on this podcast when it gets really exciting,
Yeah.
or you're in an office
Right.
and you're stressed out. So put on a jacuzzi suit.
A jacuzzi seat?
Yeah.
What's this, like a big water suit that like bubbles and
Yeah,
stuff?
you can sit at your desk bubbling away.
Oh, that actually seems pretty good. Seems good, that. Quite relaxing.
Yeah.
I like
You'd have to have steam vents, like, but you...
Okay, I think I think that's my favourite invention so far.
Cool.
Invention 3.
And then this one, I kind of cheated on this one a little bit. It has been thought of, and it was in a film, but I thought I'll go with that and try and market it somehow if you give me some money. It's the jacket that dries itself in Back to the Future 2.
Ah, so how does that work then?
You press a button, it dries.
No, that's the science behind it.
As simple as that.
Yeah. Right.
They're my 3 inventions. Give me some money and I'll run with it.
Time with my inventions, right? So the first one is like a backpack for shopping. So it's like a bag. You know, you put it over your shoulders and stuff like a normal bag.
Yeah.
But it's got the back bit missing. And you know them hooks, you know, for mountain hiking with clips?
Yeah.
So you got a load of them on your bag, on your back. And you just put your shopping bags onto them, pick it up, it's all in your bag, on your back.
Nice, nice.
You know what I mean? It's accessible for people, makes it easy.
But what if you're in the shops doing that and someone decides to slip something in without you realising?
What do you mean?
What if it's on your back and you can't see it?
Yeah, well, you finish shopping
And someone
at that
puts
point.
a pack of condoms in there and you never know.
Yeah, on the way out. You got 3 condoms when you get home. Yeah.
And then you're divorced.
Yeah, what's my other inventions? I had them wrote down, but it's on my other phone. My second one, I'll go for the big one, right? So, this is going to cost, I need 5 million investment
Okay.
for 20%.
Okay.
Right, and this is a spaceship that goes into space. So I need 5 people to work in the spaceship, so that's paying for them, the spaceship. And then inside the spaceship, we've got 1,000, you know the drones?
Yeah.
So it's going to be like drones, but it's not actually a drone, because the way it works is it pushes her out to control. But anyway, they're on wires, and there's 1,000 on this ship, and then people are there on that ship just to maintain these. But basically, rich people can loan out these little drones to fly around in space.
Okay.
It's going to cost them 10 grand a month, because it's for rich people.
Yeah.
And they can just fly around space for like a few hours every day for that month.
Well.
And then, you know, the wire just brings it back in when the batteries have died in it, and then the engineers do the bits on it, and that's it.
Okay.
That's the so you've got 1,000
You've
drones.
thought about this well, haven't you, compared to mine?
That's a
I just thought, what can I write down here?
Yeah, in my head I was like, yeah, little drones, but then I thought the propeller's going to get caught on strings, so I thought of a pushing solution, but make them drive. Proper went into it like I'm on Robot Wars or something.
Star Wars.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what my other inventions were. Oh yeah, my third invention is a good one. This might come in handy. So, do you wear glasses? Ever?
Kind of.
You do. Well, for people that wear glasses, and you know, sunny day, and you know, sunglasses can be quite annoying. Sometimes it hurts your nose. So I've come up with sun contacts. So contact lenses you put in the sunglasses, built in.
Haven't you got something like that now?
I don't know. Don't tell me this. I've invented this.
Well, we were talking to that science guy about the future. Maybe you have.
You maybe talk to him, yeah, in the future, and they've already there, yeah. You could be right. And well, I did have a 4th invention, but I can't remember what it was. So
Sounds good.
We'll leave it at that. I'll leave it for the next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring that one back next time.
Anyway, it's the end of the show. We're going to wrap this up because we've been recording for 2 hours and 23 minutes. I've got a wild child downstairs ready to go to bed. I've disowned him.
And I'm going to go home and get something to eat.
Yeah. That sounds good, actually. I might get some food. Anyway, it's been good. And ciao. See you later.
See you, folks.